Hello, everybody. This is Willie Goldberg here, and today I've got Jessey Kwong with me. I hope we're live. And today we're going to talk about marketing and building websites and sales funnel, all that kind of thing, and how Jessey's website has kind of changed the game for land investors. But before we get into all that, I do want to mention that if you are interested in getting started in the land investing business, we have a comprehensive course out on land investing. If you're interested, please visit landinvestingpros.com. To find more information about that. But with that, thank you for joining me today, Jessey. How's everything going?
Hey Willie, hey, thanks for having me on the show. I've had you before on our show, and I'm looking forward to having you guys back on again. And yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about websites and marketing and so on and so forth.
Great. So yeah, we've been in contact for a little while now. Knowing who you are, obviously, anyone in the land investing space should be familiar with you and your website. But before we get into what you've got going on the website side, maybe do you mind sharing a bit about your background, how you got started in real estate, why you're first interested in real estate, how you got started, and then how you eventually got to where you are now, building out real estate websites specifically for land investors?
Yeah. This is always a tricky one. I'm always trying to pull. There's so much that happened, but yeah, I mean, but before real estate, I was doing a lot of digital marketing. I was consulting, and I was also working on other digital products as well. And then I decided to just attend a local meetup for wholesaling and learning about virtual wholesaling. Ended up meeting somebody who introduced me to another land investor, and then from there I decided to just start. And ever since then, when I first flipped my first property, first two properties within I think within a month of actually even learning what land investing was, that bug just bit me, and I was like, I want to give this a shot and go all out. And then I was part of a mastermind group, and a couple people saw that I could get a website up pretty quickly, to generate motivated sellers, and sort of some of the results that I was getting. So they asked for help, and I helped them out and helped set up their website. And, sort of word of mouth. I started helping other people, and then I thought, hey, why not build something that is scalable out of this and help a ton other land investors, and now house wholesalers and house flippers get started online and start scaling, using your website to be able to scale your business, essentially.
Cool. So you originally got started in house wholesaling. That's what piqued your interest?
I did, and yeah, I did, and it was a struggle, definitely. And then as soon as I learned about land, I was like, okay, this just seemed a lot easier, a lot less risk. It just made a lot more sense, and I was able to move pretty quickly with land compared to houses. So yeah, houses was first, and then ended up in the land space.
Yeah, the business model is the same. I just wanted to pick your brain on that just because I started the same way. I started looking into house wholesaling. That's originally how I thought I was going to get started. And then for me, it was difficult doing remotely, and there's so much competition. And then I found land investing. So I just find so many people in the land investing space start looking at wholesaling, and then they transition because they get frustrated, or they're, for one reason or another, it's too hard to do in their circumstance. So they found land. So you found land investing. And so before you started, I'm not sure if you're active in the land business now or you're mostly focusing on the website, but I guess, did you do a few deals before you got started with your creating websites?
Oh yeah. So right now I've scaled down a lot on land investing, just so I can focus on growing REI conversion. But yeah, I was doing, that was back in 2000, 2 years ago. So yeah, we did a handful of properties out there, and I still have a couple things going on with other people. But I've totally scaled back on that.
Yeah, no, totally understand. I mean, I very much believe in power focus. So doing one thing well is really what you should be focused on. So, so great. So you got started. I mean, you found real estate piqued your interest. You originally found house wholesaling. Then you found land investing. You thought, for whatever reason, the fundamentals might be a little bit more suited towards you. And so you did a handful of deals, and then you found a market opportunity maybe that fit with maybe your skill set pretty well, building out websites. So you said you were in a mastermind for, I guess, probably with a few other land investors. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And so they, I'm assuming they had issues with marketing and sales probably, or they needed a website.
Yeah.
And that's how you found the market opportunity?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I found out. It seemed like most people just weren't sure of what to do or how to do it. And for me, it was because I was building websites and landing pages. I've been doing that for the last 10 years. So I sort of knew that realm inside and out. I've tried all different systems and understood a lot of different systems and what works in terms of conversion rates and what doesn't. And, so that's pretty much, my bread and butter. I'm also very involved with the WordPress community around the globe. So both myself and one of the founders that we're also very involved outside of real estate in the WordPress community. So we organize WordCamp events around the world, and we get involved with sponsorships. Again, this is outside of real estate though, but we're quite involved.
Okay, great. So I know there's a lot of different thought processes about having a website or not having a website.
Yeah.
Some educators out there recommend having it. Some people say just post on Zillow, post on Craigslist, post on Facebook Marketplace or wherever, and just sell your property that way.
Yeah.
I feel unbelievably strongly that is not the right way to do it. And if you're doing it that way, you're in a different niche. You're not really investing the way that I am, the way that I kind of teach, the way that the way I run my business. And for me, particularly our business, we would not, it literally is 10, 20, 30x the amount of properties we are selling because we have a website. If we didn't have that website, we would really, really be struggling. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't be in this niche if I didn't have a website, because I just wouldn't have a systematic and proven way to sell property. So I guess what's kind of your thought process about, so I've obviously stated how I feel. How do you feel about having a website and how it can impact or improve kind of a land investor's business who currently does not have a website?
I think you just said it, the words systematic, and be able to systemize and automate your process. Your website, I think the way people think of a website is here it is. It's just a poster on the wall or on the internet, and that's it. But your website actually becomes a tool of your business. It allows you to systemize, allows you to automate, allows you to build trust. It's something that functions 24 hours of the day. And I know that you're a huge advocate of and this is why I brought you onto my show before. It was sort of building a buyer's list and the importance of doing that. And I know that several of your students I've spoke with, I know they are huge advocates of that as well. Again, your website needs to become a tool rather than just another thing. And if you're going to have a website, and you really have to have that intent to be able to systemize and automate and be able to use that tool to scale up your business. So it's one of those things, like a lot of people say, I've never had a website all these years, I'm doing just fine, but there's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement with sales, conversion rates, the processes in your business. This is where a website can come and alleviate a lot of those things. So yeah, absolutely, you can run a business. But if you're looking to do this and actually scale and systemize, I just wouldn't see how you can do it without some sort of an online presence, at least, to be able to systemize those processes. And how are you going to capture leads? How are you going to actually build a buyer's list? When we talk about, for example, our selling website, it's not about really, yes, we are selling land there, but the whole purpose of that site is to really, again, generate leads, capture leads, and warm those leads up through a sales funnel. To me, that's even more important than actually trying to sell a piece of property on there. Obviously, it also becomes a tool to be able to sell that, but you need a place to be able to capture your leads, and that's what we focus a lot on.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I like what you just said there. You need to be capturing those leads and following up and nurturing those leads.
Yeah.
Because that it really is our main source of selling properties, through that buyer's list and nurturing those leads. If we didn't have that, some people say Facebook's their best source, or whatever, Craigslist or Zillow is their best source for selling property. But for us, it's not even close. It is that buyer's list. And if you don't have that, you're really not marketing as well as you could.
And here's the thing, like, look what happened to Craigslist last year when we were marketing properties. Like, they just slammed down on us. Was that like middle of last year, and then you're like that becomes your bottleneck. So what happens when Facebook decides to make some changes, and they have, and they're making small changes every so often that we don't even notice. But just recently they took off the view counts of your properties now. Like, these are kind of scary things. They can pull the plug and switch on anything at any time.
Right. Who are you referring to that took the view count off?
Sorry?
Who took the view count off?
Facebook did on
Okay.
Marketplace. Yeah. So
I didn't even know that.
yeah. So I mean, we're always at the mercy. That's funny that you don't even know that, because you're probably focusing your energy on your buyers list, right? And I always say, like, Facebook shouldn't be the end game. Like, that's just another channel for you to drive those leads, somewhere for you to capture. And again, that's why you need a website to be able to capture, because you're not going to be able to do that through Marketplace, easily or in a systematic, automated fashion. So, yeah, if you're relying on sites outside of your control, it's a very risky business that you're running there. Anytime, I mean, look at, like I said, look at Craigslist now. Most of us have moved away, but then again, I heard Craigslist picked up again. So these are out of your control. So the more that you can control, the better, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. And so we got Patrick H. Otis says, "Hey, Willie and Jesse, excited to gain some knowledge." So if anyone has any questions along the way here, any questions for yourself or sales funnels or marketing in general, feel free to post in the chat. We can cater it towards you as well. So you were in this mastermind, and then I guess what was the point that you realized that you needed a website, and I guess that triggered, say, okay, there might be a market for land investors?
I started with a website from the get-go. So everybody runs their land investing a little bit differently. I do neutral letters and postcards. So because I was involved with a couple other projects, I just didn't have the time to be able to. I didn't do any blind offers or anything like that. I just, I decided to use my website to kind of scale and drive everything that way. So I from the get-go, I had that. I did some blind offers as well. I just had more success in the areas I was working with neutral offers. So, yeah, I mean, as soon as people started talking to me about it, I didn't know it was a need, but definitely it is something that now we're finding a lot of investors are in need of a website. So this is where we're getting involved with investors now, and it's a full-time thing now. So
yeah,
that's the main thing.
Okay, and so when you thought of I mean, you knew right away that having a website probably made a lot of sense, and turns out, yeah, you absolutely need one.
Yeah.
If you want to kind of grow at scale. What features did you look for in a website, and what did you originally create? Or I don't know if you used any sort of templated site or you created one from WordPress. I guess what features on the website did you require when you first got started?
I needed a multi-step form, so I built one up really quickly using ClickFunnels, because I had a ClickFunnels account already. So I just put one page up on there, and then in order to create a multi-step form, I used a Google. What do they call those? Google surveys or Google? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? The Google Forms. Google Forms. There you go. So I did that. It was a little janky at first, but heck, I didn't care, because I knew the important thing for me was getting something up and running quickly, and then we'll fine tune at a later time. So those were the first two tools that was the first thing that I needed. I just needed a multi-step form. It was a little bit, I've got to have some processes in place to make it happen. But because I already had these tools and I was already paying for it, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then when I started helping others, it was sort of just through WordPress. Actually, I have a huge like a huge background with WordPress, so I knew that very well. And then I relaunched my site on WordPress, and then we started to look at sort of what other tools can we build to help our investors scale. So how do we cut down on time? So one of the very first, and here's the beauty about WordPress, is it allows you to have all these add-ons. You can think of it as like a mobile phone. Your website is like a mobile phone. Downloading apps are exactly what you can do with WordPress sites. So you can download all these what they call plugins. So one of the first plugins that we built, and I hated doing this back in the day, was actually listing my property on Craigslist or Facebook and having to type everything up. So we have what we call a sales post generator, which quickly condenses everything into a quick post for Marketplace and Craigslist to save time. So we started to look at what else could we do to save time. So we looked at making sure that your listings always look professional and consistent in terms of typography. I have a background in graphic design and web design, so I wanted that to make sure that to look good. So it's now just you fill in some fields and you're good to go. And everything always looks consistent. So another thing that we started building out was obviously, an opt-in form on the sales page. So where you're selling properties, you want to be able to capture your buyers' leads. How do we capture that? Are we forcing them to make sure they enter in their information? Are we soft forcing them so they can close it? What kind of mechanisms are we building in the back end so that when somebody submits their email, you'll know exactly what property they're looking at, so that when they submit their email to you, that can go to your MailChimp or whatever email system you have, and you can categorize it without even having your leads having to tell you which properties they're looking at. So that's where our mindset is at. Like, how do we again help build tools for land investors, save time and then scale. So the site is really sort of a tool for our investors.
I gotcha. Cool. And so the user experience is obviously very important. I guess, how did you strategically think about where to send, what the homepage should look like and what each property image should look like or property listing should look like, how they navigate from the homepage to a property listing? I guess what thought process did you go through to help guide the user experience to make it as seamless as possible and as logical as possible?
Yeah, that's a good question. With a design background, I do understand a lot about UI and UX. So the way that a user would engage on a site, we try to keep everything as clean and as simple as possible. What's most important is, again, capturing those leads are most important for us, and then showcasing those properties as well. When it comes to design, those opt-in forms are huge. Sometimes they're not the prettiest looking thing, but that is very important for us. To have our opt-in form sit above the fold line was really important for us as well. The main thing was to see how we can sort of keep everything as clean as possible. And also speaking to a lot of investors. So we had a couple key investors that we were talking to that were doing well, that helped us with everything from the layout to even the forms and the types of questions we're asking on those forms. Everything out of the box is set up for a land investor. You don't need to go in and type in anything, but I more than encourage you to go in there and make sure you change up your text, your copy, your images. This is the only way you're going to be able to stand out in Google's eyes. So you'll want to do that.
Awesome. And so Patrick here makes a comment, asking a question about owner financing. I don't necessarily want to talk about owner financing in this talk with Jessey, but I will. So I think owner financing is a very, very important aspect of my business, and we guide almost exclusively towards the sale of owner finance notes. So, and we use credit card integrations or ACH, something like that. What do you? So I guess, given how important it is fundamentally to a land investor who's looking to grow and scale their business through owner financing and build up passive cash flow, and that's really the goal of our business and what should be the goal of land investors out there looking to kind of grow and scale a business. How do you guys, how are you guiding, how do you allow customers to guide, how do you guide customers to a checkout to owner financing? Is it through credit card or ACH, and how does that work on your website?
Yeah, so we don't deal with the e-commerce side of things just because there's just so much moving parts. Now, we do integrate, and because everybody runs their business so differently, it's like and that's the one thing I learned about WordPress and websites is everybody runs their business a little bit differently. So we leave it open for you to be able to link your buttons to wherever you want to check out, whatever system you want to use to check out. Now, we also directly integrate with Heartland and Authorize.net, so you can do ACH payments and credit card payments through our site as well. I mean, they're one of the sort of rare companies that have the underwriting to be able to do land property. So we sort of leave it open-ended, and we don't sort of dictate anything. So we sort of have to tread that fine line of like, okay, some people want to do it this way, some people want to do it that way. You have that full capability to use whatever system you want.
Yeah. So what Jessey's referring to is the buttons. I'm sure you could create a button that links to a URL, and that URL directs to a different link on a different site. So it allows for credit card integration easily so if a user goes on your site, they click the button, they get directed to your credit card checkout.
The main reason why we don't handle it is because everybody is not totally up to date with security on their site. So it's just running a huge risk for everybody. But again, like I said, we do integrate with Authorize.net, so you can run that directly on your site. And we pass that over to Authorize to handle the payment. But in terms of seller financing cash, through our site, you can add as many payment options. It's just an add of a button. You've got two options, which is cash price or seller financing. So it's really up to you. You can have multiple seller financing options or multiple cash options. It's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the beauty of this business is that you literally can sell your land with a credit card, and you I mean, that's really it. You could make it into a marketing business, which is kind of how we've done it. And it's just driving traffic to a website, getting people interested in some of the properties and guiding them towards that credit card checkout. And I mean, it could all be done remotely. And that's why it's beautiful, because you could scale it all behind the computer screen. You don't need to go on site to any of these properties.
I mean, you just said it there. I mean, land is really, it's like almost an e-commerce business, no? Like,
yeah, it definitely is.
It's just we get tripped up with the fact that there's there's plots of land that you're selling, but you can run this from anywhere. I mean, literally anywhere, right? So you don't have to deal with shipping, drop shipping, none of that stuff. It's just land, and it's gonna stay there. So
yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, for us, it's literally just drive traffic to a website and convert that traffic. And like, if you're driving traffic but you don't have a website, you're like, it doesn't really make sense. So it really is an e-commerce business where you just need to drive traffic to a website and convert those leads that are on your website. If you don't have a website, I don't know if you really have a business.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's why it's great and very scalable.
I mean, if it's an e-commerce business, you're going to need a website.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do it the old-fashioned way, which you totally can. And there's sort of a middle ground. Like you could run it through manually through all those other listing websites, but it's not going to allow you to sort of scale it the way you want to scale.
Yeah, I mean, it's either you drive the traffic and you control the traffic on your site, or you post on other people's sites. Landwatch Farm, you pay for your postings on a website that already has traffic. You don't want to do the work, but it's way less profitable. And I mean, you can't just drive it to Amazon because Amazon doesn't sell land or something like that.
Imagine if you could actually sell land on Amazon.
There would probably be a lot of Amazon land sellers, but unfortunately they don't. And because it's nice to control the full process.
Yeah.
Sure. Cool. And so what are, I guess, some advantages that some people have, or I guess, compared to maybe some other sites that people could plug into? I guess, what are some advantages of using REI Conversion?
Yeah, the big one we talk a lot about is owning your own data. It's super important because if for whatever reason you're sitting on a different platform, you want it to leave or whatever it might be, they take your rankings, the reputation that you've built all these years. They literally keep everything. So when you can own your own data, you don't have to continue with us. You can, you have all that. You can load it onto a different theme or whatever it might be. That is still with you. The other thing is we focus a lot on, again, not just launching websites, but really focusing on how do we continue to help and assist with processes? How can we continue to help save time? Things like I said, our sales post generator help you post on those listing websites. Our property content lock. Recently, we launched something called the Zapier property listing. So you can go from any CRM, if you're using Airtable, Podio, whatever it might be, and it can connect directly with your site through Zapier, and then list your property onto your site. I know a lot of people that want to be able to just hover mostly around their CRM. So there you go, and this is, again, where we focus most of our time. Like, it's great. We have a website. We're continuing to working on new features within the website. But how do we build out these sort of more extensive features, such like our Zapier property listing? So, and when you sort of are under with REI Conversion, you get access to all of these plugins and whatnot.
That's great. That's great. I didn't know it integrated with like a CRM like Airtable. So what information? So you could literally just plug in your information from Airtable and it goes directly to the.
Yeah. I've got a demo video on this. So you're essentially using Zapier to map out each field, and then it will connect with our site. And then it'll basically, once you say, if you're using a Kanban view of Airtable, you've got all those cards, you're moving one over to listed on website, it'll literally pull all those fields out, translate it through Zapier, and then boom, right onto your website. So there's a little bit of setup. Obviously, you just have to get the initial setup with Zapier correct, but we've got a walkthrough on that, and then you're good to go. Another really awesome plugin that we have, and we worked on it with another investor, it's called our automated offer. Now, not everybody does this strategy, but if you're sending out neutral letters, your site can actually reply with a percentage of the market value and make an offer on that property for you. And we've got people that have gotten properties this way, so we're really happy about that. It's another kind of a tool to help you scale, but not everybody runs their business the same way, but we're looking at tools to see how we can have a balance between everybody, and allows you to save time and scale as well.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the great things about this business is that you can automate so much, and it seems like your website integrates really well with CRMs and allows you to automate the business as well. So you can kind of remove yourself, and I think that's really the goal. So if you're looking for an automatable or a website with automatable features, I think this is a great one. And I guess for the person out there who says, okay, I'm sold, I understand that I need a website, but why don't I just try to create one on my own? Just put like, I guess what's kind of the thought process there between using your site or building one on their own, trying to save?
I think you're gonna find, and because I talk to a lot of people like this, and they end up losing a lot of time in trying to figure things out, trying to connect all the pieces. Your goal as an investor is not to focus your time on a website, unless you've got a web background and you've got a design background. Go for it. I fully support that. But if you don't, like, the main thing is get your mailers out there.
Yeah.
Like, just get your mailers out there. That's all. And start negotiating, getting your properties in, and start marketing those properties. Like, leave everything else. All these costs can be easily recovered. Leave it to a team that can take care of things for you. And here's the thing, like, we're helping you to figure out how we can save time. You just don't want to be sinking hours and hours and hours, and then eventually having to come over to another to use us and lost all those hours. So, again, unless you have a background, your time is much better spent getting your mailers out, doing the foundational steps, and honestly, like, if you've got time, be with your family or friends. You know what I mean? Like, don't sink in hours on a website which you're not totally sure of what is going to do what. And that would be my sort of thoughts on that.
So I totally agree with that. And I know a guy who gives advice on the land business, and he recommends hand mailing your letters out, not having a website or building out a website of your own. So I feel like if you want a very, very mediocre business, you can hand mail your letters rather than sending to a letter printing company, and then you could build a website on your own. But if you really want a good business you've spent, how much time do you think you've spent on like optimizing your website and putting it?
We went through a few versions when we first launched. we're not only just optimizing the website for our users, but we're also optimizing it for our actual investors. I mean, to get set up now, we've downed it. Like, I don't think there's many themes out there that can install with 3 clicks. So we're really sort of looking at ways on how to make your experience a lot better as an investor. We're looking at ways to see how we can start training VAs so that so that you don't need to worry about your website. So how do we get involved with your VAs and take that off your hands totally? So this is not just a website we're looking at. We're looking at to see how we can be a part of the business. How can we be a tool and an asset to your business?
Yeah, and so I mean, Jessey is a land investor who found a need, started building out a website, and catered it toward the land niche. And he's gone through all the bumps and bruises and figured out and spent all the time to optimize and build out a great website. So there's no reason to try to figure it out on your own. So I guess for someone who's interested in getting a website, I guess a good place to go to, I know we have a link somewhere around this video. It is reiconversion.com/landinvestingpros.
Yep, exactly.
So if you're interested in, if you're a land investor, you want to take your business to the next level, and you're convinced you need a website, and you think Jessey's is the one for you. I think it's a great one, very optimized, everything's catered toward the land business. I see no reason to go out and start something on your own. You go to reiconversion.com/landinvestingpros and get access to your website. And how long does it take someone who's interested to access their own website, start customizing and making it theirs?
Yeah, I mean, typically the bottleneck is getting your domain and hosting, but once you have that, once you purchase, you could have your site up within the hour if you wanted to. We've got a full walkthrough on that as well. You can literally just follow along and get your entire site set up.
Cool. And so if someone needs any more information on your website, what's a good way to contact maybe your support or yourself?
Yeah, so just head over to reiconversion.com/landinvestingpros. You can book me for a call on there. I'm always taking calls, and it's little me. There's a book tour button there, and you can contact me. And you can also find me inside the Land Investing Pros page or group, or you can find me inside the REI Conversion community for land investors as well. Or you can just add me on Facebook, Jessey Kwong, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Great. So if you're interested, or you might be interested in a website, please contact Jessey. And we got a comment here. Amy says, highly recommended. We use Jessey Kwong's theme. So,
hey, Amy.
Fan. And I know a bunch of land investors, a ton of land investors who use Jessey's site. So, only have good things to say. So, well, I appreciate having you on, Jessey, and I know we'll be in touch. If anyone has any questions, again, go to the website, ask for a call with Jessey, or comment on one of these videos here. I will get back to you on those. But I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Hey, Willie, thanks again for having me on. I'm looking forward to having you on our show. And if you want to check out our podcast, it's the REI Conversion podcast. I'm going to be having Willie come on. We're going to talk about some cool stuff as well. So
great. So the REI Conversion podcast, tune in next week.
Yes.
And I will be on. So great. All right. Well, thanks again for your time. And I will end this broadcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Willie.
Thanks, Jessey.